The chosen one. It may surprise some, but if you're truly called, spiritually sensitive, and divinely marked by God, you know deep down that the greatest pain often comes not from the world, but from within the walls of the church. The very place meant to offer sanctuary, healing, and spiritual growth can sometimes become the battlefield where your spirit is most wounded. Not because God isn't present, but because humanity has twisted what God meant. This message is for the chosen ones who have sat in pews yet felt invisible, as well as those who have worked relentlessly but have been faced with criticism, jealousy, and betrayal. For those who entered a place seeking God only to depart with greater scars. You're not alone. Today, we will reveal the 8 reasons why the church frequently hurts the chosen ones the most, and why many people overlook the true cause of this spiritual agony. Now, if you were sent to this video at the exact moment your heart needs confirmation, this is no accident. This is heavenly alignment. The cosmos, or rather the Most High, is communicating directly with your soul. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to input 11 to 11 in the comments box right now as a prophetic indication that divine healing and insight are on their way. That's your spiritual signature indicating, I receive. And while you're here, be sure to subscribe to this channel. We go deeply into the secret facts that most people are hesitant to confront, but the chosen ones must hear. Now let's delve further. 1. The church frequently fears what it cannot control. Many churches are planned with structure, hierarchy, and tradition in mind. These things provide stability for some, but they might seem more like chains than safety for the chosen ones. You are never supposed to move in a routine. You move with heavenly insight. The way you carry the soul does not necessarily match human norms. As a result, religious systems frequently misinterpret your beliefs. The church cannot always categorize you. Thus, you pose a danger to the current quo. You will not call to blend in. You are meant to change spiritual climates. You have a disruptive presence not because you are rebellious, but because you are in tune with divine timing. Divine nudges, divine plan. Churches that value predictability struggle to deal with someone who is led by revelation. So, rather of accepting your spiritual uniqueness, they may characterize it as disobedience. Instead of fanning your light, they want to extinguish it. They're afraid that something they can't control will ruin what they've constructed. But you are not born to be domesticated. You were born to awaken what religion seeks to keep sleeping. The church sometimes worships leadership over God. You entered the temple looking for holiness, God, truth, and presence. However, in many locations, you discovered stage lights, practice charm, and a hierarchy based on people rather than the presence of God. You recognized that what was once sacred has become a platform for popularity. The sermons were polished, the clapping was loud, but your spirit remained empty. Chosen ones have a keen spiritual radar. You know when God is honored and when a man takes his place. And when you refuse to revere the message. When you refuse to engage in the cult of personality, you were immediately labeled as troublesome. You're told you don't submit because you're too opinionated or independent. But in reality, you are awake. Theatrics do not confuse you. You understand the difference between inspiration and manipulation, anointing and performance. And so you withdraw yourself not because you dislike the church, but because you love God too much to pretend he is still in the center when he has been gently pushed away. 3. Your insight makes others uncomfortable. The chosen one. You go into a room and sense things that others deny. Your ability to perceive is crisp, surgical, and even. You detect the spirit behind the smile, the motivations behind the ministry, and the ego lurking in humility. You don't only hear words, you can detect vibrations. And since your presence shows the truth, It frequently agitates people who would prefer remain in shadows. People claim to want light, but when it appears and begins to reveal underlying motives, they swiftly dismiss it as excessive. They'll think you're too passionate, sensitive, or spiritual, but you're not wrong to see what you see. You've just been given the ability to perceive things more deeply. And with that gift comes isolation, for many would rather quiet the one who sees too much than face the truth about themselves. But realize this: your wisdom is not a burden. It is a blessing. You were born to cut through lies, rip down facades, and reveal what has been hidden. And while it may make people uncomfortable, it is precisely the discomfort that breaks the hold of religious pretense, as religion frequently suffocates revelation. Religion seeks control. Revelation necessitates submission. That's why the two are frequently at conflict. You were born to receive downloads from the divine, new insights, new perspectives, sacred secrets wrapped up in visions and dreams. However, when you attempt to communicate these experiences within dogmatic religious institutions, you are frequently treated with mistrust. Your divine encounters do not always conform to their ideology. Thus, they are labeled weird. They label your spiritual experiences as fake because they do not accord with their religion. But what they don't realize is that God hasn't done speaking. He is still exposing himself to those who are open to listening without reservation. And you, selected one, are the vehicle for that voice. The sorrow occurs when your revelations are not just ignored, but mocked, and instead of encouragement, you are condemned. But know this: you are not insane. You are connected. You do not need permission to communicate what God has revealed you. You do not need a pulpit to express your truth. You carry live water. Some people are afraid of the flood, while others are looking forward to it. 5. Jealousy in the church is extremely genuine. You entered the church with wide arms, expecting to find a place of love, acceptance, and progress. But you quickly discovered a side that no one had told you about: the subtle sting of envy clothed in holy jargon. You saw that some people applauded your gift until it grew quicker than theirs, until your prayers started to have power, until people began to look to you for guidance, insight, and comfort. Suddenly, your anointing made many anxious, and envy began to rise not just from the pews, but even from the pulpit. Leaders who once nourished you become chilly. Friends who formerly supported you began to withdraw themselves. The greater your light shined, the more assaults you received. And what is the most difficult part? You did not do anything wrong. You were not looking for a spotlight. You were only walking in your calling. But note that chosen ones frequently elicit jealousy, not because they intend to, but because they carry a presence that indicates who is actually linked with God and who is merely playing. Stay grounded, keep walking in love, and don't dull your light for anybody. 6. You were asked to construct outside the walls. Have you ever sat in a church pew and felt like you were supposed to be somewhere else? Like your spirit was too large to be contained within 4 walls. That's because you were never asked to just blend in. You were asked to go out. Chosen ones are frequently allocated to new sectors, to preach in unusual locations, to breathe life into shattered streets, to shine a light in dark industries like as media, commerce, art, and politics. You are not unfaithful to the church. You've just been called beyond it. But this calling is sometimes misconstrued. Religious individuals may see your assignment as disobedience. They may attempt to shame you into staying, serving, and submitting when God has already ordered you to move, build, and expand. You live in a holy conflict, wanting to belong and be encouraged, but still understanding that your actual effect is outside of the norm. And that's okay. Jesus healed outside temples. Paul preached within prisons. The Spirit moves according to its desire. And so do you. You are not less holy because your mission does not appear religious. You were picked to broaden the kingdom's reach. 7. You expect genuineness, not acting. You didn't go to church to be amused. You come to encounter God. But what you frequently encounter are lights, timetables, strict programming, and orchestrated moments. The worship seemed rehearsed. The prayers seemed memorized. The sermons seemed more like motivational speeches than spiritual truths. And your soul begins to suffer, not because you are judgmental, but because your spirit yearns for something genuine. The chosen ones want truth, not theatrics. Presence, not popularity. Depth, not a decoration. When authenticity is absent, you know it right away. You are not choosy. You are spiritually aware. You've experienced the reality of God's presence. Imitation is no longer sufficient. You'd rather sit alone in silence than be surrounded by unholy noises. Your expectation of sincerity is not arrogance. It's an alignment. You are not called to play church. You are called to be the church. That implies you'll continue to pursue the sacred, even if it's rare or misunderstood, because you know that God is still speaking, working, and real to those who are willing to pursue Him in spirit and truth. 8. You have a prophetic calling, and earnings are rarely accepted. If you're truly chosen, your calling is most likely prophetic, and, as history demonstrates, prophets are frequently rejected in their own homes and temples. Jesus witnessed this. Prophets question the existing quo. They say the truth. When it is unpleasant, they challenge immorality, reveal dishonesty, and raise people up. As a result, they're frequently pushed out, misunderstood, or even despised by the same people they seek to assist. Your anguish is evidence of your calling. If you have been injured by the church, you're not insane, resentful, or backsliding. You're awake. You've been called. Your chosen God is not confined to a structure, and your spiritual path hasn't ended. It's simply changing. Forgive those who have injured you, but don't allow their misery derail your goal. You were set apart for a reason. This is Cosmic Adam Channel. If this message made you cry, provided clarity, or offered you comfort, type 1111 in the comments. Make your own personal proclamation that heavenly healing and clarity have found you today. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more raw, authentic, and revelatory teachings tailored exclusively to chosen ones like you. You are not made to fit in. You were created to change lives, to break down religious boundaries, and to walk with God intimately and profoundly. Maintain sensitivity. Stay strong. Continue to be picked. Thank you for watching.